everyone, and welcome to episode 85 of the Best Day Ever Crafting Podcast. This is a podcast about my making journey and celebrating with you all the reasons why crafting every day makes for the best day ever. My name is Trish, and you can find me on Instagram in two places as Tie-Dye Diva. That's where I post all of my makes, things I've been working on as it relates to the fiber arts. And then also _fiber tree is another Instagram account that I manage, and that hosts information about my planning, journaling, as well as shop updates from my sticker and stationery shop, the Fiber Tree. You can also find me on Ravelry as Tie-Dye Diva, and on Ravelry is also where you can find show notes for this as well as past episodes. So today is March 17th, which is just incredible. How is it possible that we're almost over with 3 months of 2023? It's just incredible. I feel like time is just moving so fast. It's Friday, and I'm just taking a short break from lunch to record this podcast. So I hope you all are doing well. No admin today, so we can get right into the making. I've got a couple of finished objects, and I'm going to update you on some of the projects I'm working on, my works in progress in knitting and crochet. We'll talk briefly about spinning. I have a completed spinning project. And we'll talk some paper crafting, some things I've been working on since the last time we chatted, and then we'll get to sit and knit together as I chat about a couple of things. I got a couple of things listed here I can sit and chat about. So let's get right to it. So the first finished object I want to share with you, excuse me, it's allergy season because the weather doesn't know what it wants to do. So I've got some tea. I can see coatings of pollen on the car, on the patio furniture. It's just crazy. And today it's overcast again, and I think it's about high 50s, but it's really windy. So hopefully you won't, the wind won't be a distraction. Okay, so finished objects. So I was able to finish my Lenta sweater, and here it is. It's so beautiful. I love this sweater so much. Let me let you take a closer look at the neckband, which is a folded neckband on a 1x1 rib. Raglan shaping, pretty deep raglan on the arm. Long sleeves that end in a 1x1 rib, and I just bound off really loosely in pattern as the pattern indicated. Same thing with the bottom ribbing. I bound off 1x1 ribbing and very loosely. So as you can see, it's just super soft and cozy and lofty. It's light, but it still has quite a bit of weight to it. So this is a pattern by Joanna Hitalia, and this pattern first appeared in the Lina magazine. I'm not sure which issue, but probably quite some time ago, because it's now available on Ravelry. And so the yarns that I used, the main yarn that is held throughout is Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and the color is Wash House. And I think, yep, I still have my bag here, so let me show you the main color that I used. It's so soft and lovely, I don't even want to put it down. So again, this is Madeline Tosh Merino Light with copper, and you can really see the little copper flecks in there. It's an absolutely beautiful yarn. Blues and greens and purples and grays and even some little specks of yellow. I can really see the specks of yellow on this side. I don't know whether the camera is going to pick it up or not, but absolutely lovely yarn. And then I held this yarn throughout the entire sweater with an assortment of mohair silk. So this is one of the colors that I held it with. This is Knitting for Olive mohair silk. So initially I wanted to do a fade. I wanted to start with the lighter colors of mohair silk that I had and then do a fade into darker colors. But the project went so fast that I really didn't have time to think about how I wanted to do that. So it is still somewhat, it's still somewhat of a gradient or a fade. If you look really, really closely, you can see how it's a little lighter at the top. And then it gets just a little darker towards the bottom. I absolutely love this. I cannot say enough good things about this pattern. If you have never knit a sweater before, this would be an excellent pattern for you to knit your very first sweater in. It's very, very well written, very straightforward. The only thing that's a little involved is the fold over collar, but the instructions for that are also so simple, and there's a ton of videos on YouTube that could help you along with this technique. I've had in my mind that I would love to host my first sweater make along. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in, let me know. Because like I said, this would be an absolutely perfect first sweater pattern. So again, this is the Lenta sweater by Johanna Hitalia. Okay, next up, I finished now where did I put them? Okay. I finished my Rye Light Socks by Tin Can Knits. And here they are. So the Rye Light pattern is a very basic sock pattern. With the exception that the very front of the sock features this panel of garter stitch, which is really cool. Another feature of this pattern is that when you do the heel flap, it tells you to knit straight. So when I do a heel flap, traditional heel flap in gusset, I'm used to doing a slip one, knit one, and then purl on the next row, purl across. But this pattern has you knit the entire heel flap. So what that does, a couple of things. It gives you a lot of room in this heel section. And so I found that when I tried them on, they don't fit as tight or as snug as a traditional heel flap in gusset does, but it does provide quite a bit of room for your foot in this area here. So beautiful pattern. Again, Tin Can Knits patterns, you can't go wrong with them. Very beginner friendly, and I do believe this is a free pattern as well. The yarn that I used is from At Haines House, and the color is Passages of Hope, Freedom. And I really like the way it pulled. Got these little diagonal stripes. And that worked out really well on both socks. I did have some trials and tribulations with knitting this sock. I think I mentioned on the last podcast that I had forgotten to turn the heel on on the second sock, and I didn't realize it until I had knit the entire sock. I'd wove in the ends and everything, so I had to pick out all those ends and go back to the starting point. I think I actually frogged. I think I frogged it to about here, to the very top of the where the gusset would begin. because I don't know. I think I was so disgusted. But in the end, it all worked out. Yeah, a lot of mishaps with this sock, but as you can see in the end, it's a beautiful pair of socks. And I'm going to give these to my son, Armani. He, a couple of weeks ago, asked for a new pair of hand knit socks, and it's been quite a while since I've knit him some socks. So I'm going to give these to him. He has I think he wears a size 9 men's foot, so he has a small foot. And I think these will fit him really nicely. So again, this is the Rye Light Sock by Tin Can Knits, and the yarn is at Haynes House. At Haynes House, hold on. I have show notes, but they're no good if you can't read your own writing, so hold tight. Okay, yeah, and at Haynes House, Bare Feet Sock, and the color is Passages of Hope, knit on a US 1 needle. And I'll put these a little closer again so you can see. Come on, camera, work with me. It doesn't want to cooperate. Normally, when I have issues, there it is. Normally when I have issues with focusing, it's because it's trying to focus on 2 things at one time. So I need to put my face out of the way when I'm trying to show something close up. So that's what my gauge looks like on a US 1 needle. Okay, so those are my only finished objects of this week. And I'm gonna tidy up as I go, because sometimes it looks like a bomb went off in the area where I podcast. So let's move into works in progress. So nothing new. I didn't cast on anything new since the last time I recorded. Yay for me. Trying to stay focused. But I did make quite a bit of progress on my Saturday shrug. So here is my, let me unscrunch it. It's stuffed it down in my bag and it's a bit wrinkled. Okay, here we go. So this is my progress on the Saturday shrug. This is a pattern by Jackie Rose, and she is one half of the Caddy Jacks Knits podcast. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. I was about to say Instagram. There's a free pattern on Ravelry, and as you can see, it's 1x1 ribbing, and it's like a playground. You can do stripes. You could do it in solid. You could do big stripes with that are separated by maybe 1 color. If you go on Ravelry, I believe the last time I checked, there were over 500 of these that have been knit and posted to Ravelry. So go there for lots and lots of inspiration. So the way that the shrug was written to be is to be worn as a garment that you can put over your neck and wear over your shoulders. So it's like a hug, a really warm hug. Alternatively, it can also be worn as a cowl. So as you can see, I've got quite a bit of stretch in my Saturday shrug. I don't want my needles to pop off. Quite a bit of stretch. I'm still not sure if I've got enough to fit over my shoulders. And if it doesn't, then I will wear it as a cowl. But my thought process with picking these colors is that, you know, we're moving into spring and summer, but I still always like to have something warm and cozy in my purse where we're out and about. We stop at a restaurant or, you know, somewhere else, somebody's house where the air is blasting. I just like to have something warm around my neck. And if it actually fits around my shoulders, that's going to be a plus. So I used a variety of yarns. No one particular dyer. I've got some Dapper Dye Works, who presently is no longer dyeing yarn. I've got some Neighborhood Fiber Company, Honeybee Knits, who's no longer dyeing yarn. This yellow is, the yellow is escaping me, but the mohair that I held with it is, you can see that beautiful halo, is Neighborhood Fiber Company Loft. And I think I covered all of the colors. So all of the details are on my Ravelry page. You can go directly to Ravelry and see them, or you can just refer to the show notes. Every time I pick this up, I want to knit with it. So I'll save this for our sit and knit together session. So again, this is the Saturday Shrug by Jackie Rose, and I'm knitting mine on a US 9 needle. Again, holding DK weight as well as worsted weights along with a strand of mohair silk. Peeking out the door, someone's walking across our lawn to take out the trash. So that's project number 1, and I've also been working on my vanilla socks on Magic Loop. This is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. I'm sorry, not Tin Can Knits, by Crazy Sock Lady, Kay Litton, who is Crazy Sock Lady. I think I showed this finished, this half finished object on the last episode, did I? So this is a quick peek at sock number 1. And the yarn that I'm using is Earth Yarns. It is Earth Yarns Unique Sock. And the color is color 6, the very descriptive name of color 6. As you can see, this yarn is so beautiful. It's almost, I describe it as a double gradient because it starts out, the green starts out this greenish gray, and then that turns into this bright, bright yellow. And then the purple, this like royal purple, ends up into this lighter purple. So just a really super fun sock. I have my my markers, my progress markers here every 10 rows. So when I complete 10 rows, I move one marker to the to this sock until all the markers are used, and then that way I know I'll have matching socks. That's another tip I got from Kay Litton, who's the Crazy Sock Lady. And this is the progress I've made on sock number 2. I am doing Magic Loop, so my needles are all twisted, but here is the progress. There's my knit one, slip one heel flap, and my stripes are lining up really nicely, matching up really nicely with the other sock. I usually don't obsess about that, but if I can, I try to, and it worked out really, really well this time. So I'm going to try to stay really focused and make sure that continues. So hopefully the next time I record, they will be done. And I'm knitting these socks on a US 1 needle as well. And I am doing the medium, no, hold on. Am I doing the medium size? Hold on, let me see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 20. Yes, I'm doing the small. I find that for me, a 56 stitch sock on a US 1 fits the best. I do want to experiment with the 64 stitches on a US 0. Maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime soon, maybe not. But at Knit, I was able to go to, not Knit Afternoon, the knitting group at the library in Washington, D.C. For those of you who are new, maybe this is your first time watching, I live just outside of Washington, D.C. in the state of Maryland. And last Saturday, I was able to go to one of the local libraries in Washington, D.C., and knit with the group was a blast as always. And one person, hey Roz, was knitting her sock on a US 0, and it was so beautiful, so smooth. The stitches were just perfection. She also has a sock machine, and she did her ribbing on the sock machine, and the body with the US zeros. Roz, correct me if I'm wrong there, but just an absolutely beautiful sock. And I think I saw another podcaster also talk about knitting socks on a US 1. So we'll see. We'll see. I think my mind is getting the best of me, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to take forever, but not necessarily so. So tell me, what is your experience with knitting socks? What size needle do you use? What's your favorite gauge for knitting your hand knit socks? Just drop that comment right in the comment field. I would love to hear. And maybe we can use that as a segment for our sit and knit together soon. Okay, so let's talk about my Cocoa Knits workshop sweater. So as I mentioned on the last podcast, a couple of friends of mine in the Pacific Northwest asked me to join them on a make-along. And of course, I couldn't say no. So Cocoa Knits is hosting a sweater workshop make-along. And I'm not sure, I don't think it ever ends. I think it's something that you join and you just commit to knitting as many of her sweaters as you want. There's a ton of YouTube support for her patterns, and she also has her Cocoa Knits sweater workshop book, which I don't have with me now, but I'm definitely going to have to refer to it for the next portion of this sweater. So far I have, hold on, let me get my yarns together. So let me tell you what sweater I'm making first of all. I am knitting the Zoe Cardigan, and let me pull up a picture of the Zoe Cardigan. Okay, so let me try not to, so there we go. So that is the Zoe Cardigan, really, really cute, as you can see. You have the option to do side pockets or not. And the yarn that I'm using is Miss Babs Kira, and the color is Exuberance. It's really, really pretty, super pretty. Okay, and finally, here is my progress. So let me hold it up in a way that will hopefully make sense to you. So this is the back. And this is the front. These are this like faux seam right here, hopefully you can see that, is the top of the shoulder. And of course that's repeated on both sides. And this portion here is the front of the cardigan. And so now I'm at the point, as you can see, I've placed markers at, strategically placed my markers at different sections. It's trying to focus on, so let me just hold it this way. So there is here is the front, the left front of the sweater. There are markers right here. There are markers right here because this is the sleeve portion. So there's going to be some increasing that's going to happen for the sleeves as well as for the front. And the way the pattern is written, it's there's a lot of things going on at one time. So you knit a certain amount of rows for one section, and then you're increasing for a certain amount of rows in this section, increasing for a certain amount of rows in that section. And there's a worksheet where you can fill in all the numbers to help keep you on track. So it's kind of making my head spin at this moment. So this afternoon, we're going to do a Zoom meetup with my buddies in Washington State, and we're going to talk about the progress we've made and help each other out where we're stuck, because I feel like I'm kind of stuck right now in understanding the instructions. I don't think it's difficult. It's just a new way of knitting sweaters. And I do kind of feel like I need to break out of a rut. I feel like I've been in a raglan rut, which is not a bad place to be. Raglan construction is an awesome sweater construction. It fits most of us really, really well, and it's really easy to do. And you can get some stunning effects from it. But sometimes it's kind of nice to step out of your comfort zone, which is what I'm trying to do with this pattern. I'm knitting this on a US 8 needle. So this is a sport weight yarn. So it's a really loose, stretchy gauge, which will be really, really nice for the summertime. So stay tuned for my progress on the Zoe Cardigan. I feel like once I get these increases down packed in my head, I'm going to fly through this. At least that's my goal. So we'll see what the next 2 weeks hold with the Zoe Cardigan. Let me get this in its project bag. Okay. And I think I showed you guys this bag the last time. This beautiful bag by Uncle Brian's Bags. Was so kindly gifted this to me at a recent fiber event. So I'm keeping it in here. This bag has so many. It's got a shoulder strap, so many features, snap front, and tons of pockets on the inside, which I absolutely love. So thank you, Brian. Thank you for this lovely, lovely bag. Really, really appreciate it. So the last thing I'm going to share with you, I promised I would share with you my progress on my granny stripe blanket. And I just realized my crochet hook is stuck. Okay, got that out. I've made quite a bit of progress. So it's a lot at this point. It's so heavy. Okay, here we go. Look at this. It's so much crocheting, so much. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get all of this in the camera. Is anything behind me? Can I back up? Okay, so, this is where I started. That yellow there, and then this is how long it's going to be. Let me get a sip of tea. When I first started my granny stripe blanket, we had a king size bed, and that tells you how long I've been working on this blanket. I think I took some notes to tell me when 2019 was when I started this blanket. And here we are in 2023. So I have committed to finishing this blanket this year. Now, the last time I showed this to you, I was right here. I remember because I placed a marker right here. And this is how much progress I've made thus far. And I'm just gonna show it to you in sections. I don't know what kind of picture I'm gonna be able to take with this for the finished object shot, but I'll just put it across my neck as you can see, all the colors. These are all leftovers from various projects. Some mini skeins are in here. My goal was not to repeat any yarns, and I don't think I've done that in this whole this whole project. It's so pretty. It's so, so pretty, and it's so heavy and warm and cozy. And I don't know, the sentimental side of me is just thinking this would be so nice as a family heirloom. I don't have grandkids, but I have nieces and lots of other little ones in my life that I can see gifting this to some years down the road. But it's just a fun project. So colorful, so beautiful. This pattern is by Attic 21. And I'm crocheting mine on a 3.5 millimeter or size E hook. And I'm using my furls hook, which I absolutely love. The ergonomic shape really does well for my hands, since I tend to have a lot of joint pain in my hands from RA. So I'm so happy to have found furls crochet hooks. I've got a couple of them. I think this is the only one I have in this style. I forget what it's called, but I will list it in the show notes. And so when I finish with the project, like the socks I just finished, I just throw the excess right on into this tote. I have it sitting in this huge tote from Fiber Space, which is one of my local yarn shops. And so there's always yarn ready for me. And I primarily work on this on Sundays for the Scrappy Sunday make-along hosted by Kay Litton, who's the Crazy Sock Lady. If you want some more inspiration on scrappy projects, definitely check out her podcast, because she has some beautiful scrappy projects she's working on or has completed, including this beautiful shawl that she made with fingering weight minis. So lots of scrappy project inspiration there. So let's move on into paper crafting. I have resumed my classes with Fodder School as well as Wanderlust. These are schools that I signed up for in 2022, and I had fallen so woefully behind on both. Hold on a minute, let me grab my papers. I had fallen so behind on both Wanderlust and Fodder School. So I just took a deep breath, and whenever I had some time, either while I was sitting and knitting or maybe at work doing something that didn't require too much of my attention, I would watch the classes. And it just dawned on me, I don't have to do all the things. I don't have to produce something from every single class. I can just watch it and maybe pick up a technique I can use in my one of my journals, when I'm doing art journaling or when I'm doing my daily pages and my Hobonichi. So that really took off a lot of pressure, and those classes will be there indefinitely. So I don't have to feel like I have to complete something every single month. But one class that really caught my attention was taught by Liz. You know what? I cannot think of her last name, but she's from New Zealand, and she is the Fodder School teacher for either March or February. And she had a really interesting class on how to make aged antique looking pages using coffee as a dye, as well as an iron. I got an ironing that you use to iron clothes with, and a piece of corrugated cardboard. The corrugated cardboard, the whole idea is that you would put the hot iron onto the paper along with the coffee, and the goal is to get the impression from the paper, from the iron and the coffee onto the paper. So let me try to find one. Here's one that where you can really see the impression. And I don't want to give away too much because there is an element of intellectual property. You know, the teachers who've made these courses, and some of them are okay with sharing, and some of them you have to get permission to even make something and sell it. But so I'm trying to share as much as I can but not oversharing. So here are a few of the papers I created. This is one. You can see the browns are the coffee. You can see the little, look like little arrows. Those are the impressions from the iron. And of course, you can see the lines from the corrugated. And the white is gesso. And those impressions were made using just some plumbing washers that I got from Home Depot. And if you're not in the US and you don't have a Home Depot is just a hardware store where you get, you know, tools and things for rebuilding and just everything for the home. And I might add, we do have some viewers from so far away, from Ireland, from the UK, so that's really exciting. Okay, so that's one page. Here's another. It's just amazing what you can do with things you already have at home. Here's another one. And so I'm not sure if I showed this one. So beautiful. And then here, I believe this is very thin. This is either tissue paper or sewing pattern paper. I'm not sure which one. As you can see, I used a really pretty pink dye on this one. This is a piece that tore, but I will definitely be able to use this in a project at some point. And there's another one. This is just a handful of the pages that I made using that technique. I enjoyed it so much. Did I show this one to you already? Yeah, I think this is the first one I showed. So, and then I have so many more. This is another stack that I created. So now I'm going to show you a couple of things I created from those papers. And I just realized that I put them under a box last night because I wanted to flatten them, smooth them out a little bit. So let me see if I can gracefully grab these without making an avalanche. Okay, I did it, yay. Grace is not one of my strong points. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through these really quick. So basically I created a ton of fodder for my journals using those papers. So here's one, go through these really quickly. Maybe if I show two at a time. Come on, camera, cooperate. There we go. There we don't go. Come on, camera. Okay, there we go. Technology. So there you can see, I don't know whether you can see some of the gesso, some of the coffee stain, as well as the dye. And then I embellished it with some stamping. And I really love these little, hold on one second. I really love these little circles here. So I just created those with one of the papers that I made, and here we go. This is one sheet that I made, and some of them tore because this is from an old book. So those I was able to just cut some circles and do some stamping on them, and add that as an element to this little piece of collage fodder. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you get the point. So beautiful and so much fun. There's another one. So, you know, if you ever decide to do a technique like this, you know, you just sometimes, for me, I just want to go, and I just want to let loose, and I want to get paint on my hands. I just want to do all the things and just create. But sometimes when you do that, you're not really satisfied with, you're looking at one big piece of paper and you're saying, what is this? This does not make sense. But then when you start tearing it up and making little pieces from the big piece, you can come up with some really beautiful and amazing things. Okay, my camera is fired today. So fired. Let me try to go back to holding up two at a time. Maybe that'll work. Maybe not. There we go. And again, these can be used as like a focal point on like a greeting card. So many things you can do. Again, you can just lay them in your journals. You can create a really simple background on in your journal. Now I don't know what I've shown or what I haven't shown. So anyway, you get the point. But that's how I intend to use these. I might make some greeting cards with some. One of the classes is how to make envelopes from your hand-dyed paper, as well as little greeting cards. So I can totally see doing some of those. And I just started a favorite quotes journal. This is the Creators Challenge for March for the Journal with Purpose Patreon. I talk about her all the time on this channel, and we even did a collaboration together last month. Was it last month or January? I think it was January. Time is going by so fast. So I was able to do a collaboration with Journal with Purpose because I've learned so much from her class. So this side here of my favorite quotes journal, as you can see, it has, this is another one of the papers that I created using that technique. You can see the iron and a little bit of the corrugated impression coming through, the gesso marks created with the washer. And then I just took one of those tags. As you can see here, I just created a really simple background using one of Helen's Journal with Purpose stamps. And I want to get this to focus. So there we go. So the background is the pink and the blues, and I embellished those pink flowers with some blue little markings, created some other marks in the corners, and then I just placed one of those little tags that I made with one of my favorite quotes, which is love more. I'm not sure if this is backwards the way you're seeing it. It looks backwards to me. But anyway, you get the point. So I would definitely be using quite a few of these in this journal. And then this is another page I created on the very, I don't know whether this is going to show up. So one of my favorite quotes is, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So that's what I put at the end of this collage page, of this journal page, I should say, that I created. And this face is a stencil that I purchased from Oh, the artist is escaping me right now. So I will link to it. So yeah, so having a lot of fun in this journal, as well as with the Fodder School and Wanderlust classes. So stay tuned. You know, if you want to see more, follow me on Instagram, and I will be posting as I create other projects from Fodder School. One other thing in paper crafting, a few weeks back, I showed you my Coptic bound journal that I created. Here we go. I was able to make another one. Was able to Zoom with some buddies, hey Stacy and Steph, and we created another Coptic bound journal. And this one was created with a tissue, some newsprint underneath. You can even see that coming through. And then I just added some flecks of gold on mine because I thought that would be so pretty. And there is the binding. I really love this thread. This came in the book binding kit I got from Amazon, believe it or not. Yeah, so it's a rainbow colored thread, really pretty. So I can definitely see improvement in my binding from the last time that I did this. So I just have to keep practicing and getting better with that. So I think that's it in paper crafting. So much fun, so much fun. So let me just go over a couple of acquisitions before we get into sitting and knitting together. Not a lot of things, just a couple of things. I have been completely smitten with the color Trippy from The Lamb and the Kid. Ever since I saw Caitlin of the Caddy Jacks podcast, she made a pressed flower shawl, and her colors were Trippy and Caddis, I believe. So Trippy is, here we go. How beautiful. So it's almost like an iridescent lavender. And I got this from Do You Knit because I never saw, even when Lamb and Kid did an update, I never saw this color. And then of course, after I purchased it from Do You Knit, then of course she had an update and this color was included. So now I'm just waiting on the Caddis, which is, it's a pale yellowy green. And I'm not sure if that has an iridescent effect as well, but those two colors are so unexpected and so beautiful together. I wish I had something yellow so that I could compare it to, but I don't. But anyway, really happy to add these to the stash. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. Be beautiful in a sweater. So we'll see. We shall see. I also ordered a skein of self-striping sock from Mud Punch. This was a complete impulse purchase. She posted on Instagram a story and of what it takes to create just one skein of hand-dyed yarn, and it just really resonated with me. How I never realized how much work went into self-striping yarn, and I don't know, I was just moved to purchase something from her shop. Man, I wish I could think of her name. Chantel dyes the most beautiful self-striping colorways. So this is the one I picked up. And this color is Disco Overload. It's a 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon blend. It's 385 yards. And it's 110 grams. So I'm almost thinking this would knit up in a sport weight gauge too. But it's super pretty, super squishy. The Nest colorway for February is Cabin Fever, and it is on BFL. So look at those beautiful colors. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I have a spinning project on the wheel right now, but as soon as that one's done, this one will go on next, because I really want to keep up to date on my Nest Club fibers. And then finally, I was able to get the Neons and Neutrals book from Amy Gill from La Bien-Aimée Yarns. It's an absolutely beautiful book, absolutely beautiful. Stunning patterns in here. Interestingly enough, the first one I turned to was this cowl here. This cowl is called the Aliquot here. Look at all the texture in that cowl. Absolutely love that. So I'm not going to go through all of these. If you Grocery Girls did a wonderful review of this book, and I'm pretty sure so many others have. I will be honest, there's probably only about 2, including this sweater here, that cowl and this sweater. There are probably only about 2 projects in here that I would actually knit. However, there's a lot of interesting techniques in this book that can be applied. And that sweater I just showed you is called Confluence. And it is by, hold on, make sure I get the designer's name correct. I think I know, but by Caitlin Turowski. Caitlin Turowski is the designer of the Confluence sweater. So what I was saying is, while I might only knit a couple of things from this book, it's just a beautiful book to have. That neon pink is fire. Also, though, there's so many techniques and other forms of inspiration you can get from this book. So I do highly, highly recommend it. Can't wait to see what other books Amy comes up with. I do have the worsted book, which I think was the very first in the series. Handspun. Let me show you the progress I've made on my spinning projects. So this is the Club colorway from Nest Fibers for January, and the color is Love Struck, and the fiber is Polworth. It's 100% Polworth fiber. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to insert a picture of what the braid looked like before I spun it. I always think it's so amazing what the yarn looks like after it's been spun. So it's super squishy and bouncy, really soft, definitely next to skin soft. And the fiber is Polworth. So what, did I already say that? 100% Polworth fiber. So my goal in spinning this time around, getting back to my spinning, is not just spinning to be spinning, which is fine if that's what you want to do. I really want to learn about the sheep and the breed, the characteristics of the sheep, and maybe a little bit about where it originated from. So I was able to go to EdenCottageYarns.co.uk, and they have lots of information on the sheep breeds, and there is a picture of a Polworth sheep. Look at that handsome guy. So beautiful, so stately. You just want to hug him. And this is what Eden Cottage Yarns says about Polworth. It says Polworth sheep originated in Australia in the 1800s. In fact, it is their centenary year this year. when Lincoln and Merino bloodlines were mixed. So let me read that again. Polworth sheep originated in Australia in the 1800s when Lincoln and Merino bloodlines were mixed. So Polworth is a combination of Lincoln wool and Merino. This combination was used to attempt to increase the hardiness of the Merino so that they could increase the areas that could be grazed. This was very successful as Polworths are now able to thrive in a wide range of climate conditions as well, and as a result have been exported as far as the Falkland Islands and South America. Characteristics of the wool is it is a medium size with a large frame. Let me read that again. It says, the breed is medium size with a large frame with mature ewes reaching between 50 and 60 kilograms and mature rams reaching between 66 and 80 kilograms. Fleeces can weigh up to 6 or 7 kilos with a fiber diameter of 23 to 25 microns. The wool is ultra white with excellent crimp, length, and yield, and it is fine and soft enough for next to skin wear. So much more information on this, on Polworth. So again, this is Eden Cottage Yarns, and this was, I'm wondering whether this was a blog post or if she has other information about other sheep breeds on her website. I'll look into that, but in any event, I will put a link to this particular page in the show notes. So that's all about Polworth sheep. And let me let you take one more peek at this loveliness. Again, the color is Love Struck. And I believe she has more of these available on her website. But you have to be a club subscriber. What else can I say? I was actually able to get quite a bit of yardage from 4 ounces. 370 yards of a 2-ply. And I need to get one of those tools that measure the possible weight of the yarn. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of different weights going on there. Some looks like it's fingering, some looks like it's sport DK worsted. So you experienced spinners out there, let me know the best way to determine the weight of your yarn when you've got when your spin is not as consistent as you'd like it to be. But I do think that this will work really well, maybe as a cowl, maybe color work in a yoke sweater. So yes, let me know what, why did my mind just draw a blank? Yeah, let me know what tool I can best use to measure the weight of my hand spun yarns. And also, if you have any recommendations for books that talk about the sheep breeds and the characteristics of the sheep, I believe there's a Spinner's Book of Wool. I do have a book, it's called Spinner's Book of Spinning or something like that. But that more so talks about the techniques of spinning. I'm really looking for something that talks about the breeds and their characteristics. So let me know if you have any suggestions, and I'm going to also continue to look. I just love my little mug from Maryland Sheep and Wool. I think this was from last year, from Jenny the Potter. And so I've got 2 more bobbins that are resting. This is from the Knit Spring Farm monthly bat club. I'm no longer a member of her bat club, but I've got a couple of bats that need to be spun up. So this is the progress I've made. As you can see, I need to work on making prettier bobbins. But this is going to be a 2-ply. I'm going to ply the 2 of these together. And this is an interesting blend. It is, this is 61% Cheviot, 22% Shetland, 17% Gotland, There's Angelina, Silk Noel, as well as Sari Silk. So this is going to be really, really interesting when they're applied together. I'm really, really looking forward to getting these applied up. And I will have that to share with you on the next episode. I already know what I think I know what I'm going to do with those, with that blue yarn. Maybe some fingerless mitts is what I'm thinking. So I think I got through everything. We're already, we're just at a little over an hour. So let's sit and knit together for a little bit. So I got a couple of things here that we can chat about. I think I will work on my cowl while we sit and knit together for a little bit. So let's talk about health. I think I told you guys about a month or so ago, I had gotten really, really sick. I said I wasn't going to go into a lot of detail about what happened, but basically I had something gastrointestinal going on for an entire 6 days. I'm going to move this camera down just a little. Hey there. So that maybe you can see my hands a little better. Okay. I can feel like we're really knitting together. Excuse me. So, yeah, something gastrointestinal. Won't go into all the horrible details. If you've dealt with something like a stomach flu or whatever, then you know it was pretty horrible. By day 6, I was so sick I had to go to the ER because I had no energy. It was difficult to put one foot in front of the other. I mean, I took a shower before I went to the ER, and I literally had to sit on the edge of the tub when I came out because I felt like I was gonna pass out. So I had no energy. Got to the ER, my kidney function was extremely low, but that was remedied by being on IV fluids for most of the day, and then I was able to go home early in the evening. Come to find out, a combination of things. I was in the middle of a fibromyalgia flare. I was in the middle of a RA flare, and I wasn't feeling well, so I think my resistance was really, really low. But we also narrowed it down to a medication I had been taking that really did not agree with me. I've been taking it for almost a year and had some mild gastrointestinal issues, but nothing like this. So that episode really solidified that it was the medication, and because my body was already compromised, it just had no way of fighting it. But an interesting thing that happened, which gets me to the health thing, is that entire time I was sick, by about day 4, when there was nothing in my stomach because I couldn't keep anything on my stomach, and whatever I drank would just go right back out, my joint pain disappeared. The psoriasis on my palms and feet disappeared, and I was relatively pain-free. That was just amazing to me. While I was sick, I really didn't have a chance to really meditate and contemplate what that meant. But after I was better, in the days to come, I really started thinking about that. And it really made me think about how important it is to maintain good gut health. So if there's nothing in your gut, then for your body to react to, then there's, the symptoms will disappear, which is what happened in my case. But, we can't go around not eating just to preserve our health. So I've been on a crusade, I guess you could say. I'm reading as much as I can about good gut health, how to keep good gut health, and really working on eating a lot of whole foods, like a lot of raw vegetables and fresh fruits, and still struggle with getting my water in, just so that I can maintain the best possible quality of gut health as possible. So that's what I've been doing. If you have any resources on like natural healing, probiotics, because I have thought about taking a probiotic, and maybe that would assist me with, with changing my diet and things, with maintaining a good balance in my gut. I've also considered trying gluten-free for a while, just to see if that will improve things. But eating more whole foods is definitely the key. And I was fixing my lunch last week, and I was about to pour some salad dressing on my salad, and I don't know, something just told me to look at the food label. Because what I normally do when I make a salad, I just pour a little bit of olive oil and a flavored balsamic vinegar, which is usually peach. I love a good white peach balsamic, and some salt and pepper, tossed together, I'm done. But this particular day, I just had a hankering for something creamy. So I got the ranch from the refrigerator. And again, like I said, something told me, just read the ingredients just out of curiosity. Several things I couldn't pronounce, had no idea what they were, but something that I did know what it was MSG. And I was just floored that MSG was in this salad dressing. And I'm so glad that I read it before I poured it on my salad. So another thing, reading ingredients and that are in foods, because sometimes you think you're eating a healthy thing, and that might not be the case at all. And of course, MSG is a preservative that a lot of people have negative reactions to. And why shouldn't you not? Because it's a chemical. So yeah, just trying to eliminate things like that. Another thing we stopped eating, that we've been using for years, are the flavored creamers. So my favorites, about a year ago, I discovered, I think it's International Delights. They have a chocolate peppermint. It was so good. They also have a vanilla cinnamon, I believe. So we were using that, and sometimes I'm like a 2 cup of coffee per day person. So a good friend of mine, was over, and one evening we were talking and chatting about health, and he was saying, was talking about the flavored creamers. He said, in some countries, those creamers are banned because they're filled with chemicals. And again, I looked on the label, and he's absolutely right. There's nothing real in those flavored creamers. It's all chemicals made to taste like something else. So we immediately stopped doing that. We, as often as I can, I try to buy an organic half and half to add to my coffee. I also find that I don't need as much half and half as the creamer I was using. And I also find that the coffee tastes much better. I can actually taste the coffee instead of it being covered up with artificial flavors. So that's one thing that's been going on in the Bullock household. Just trying to make baby steps towards a better health. So comment below. Are you dealing with health issues or autoimmune issues? If you'd like to share, what are some resources or habits or things that you're doing that's helping you along in your health journey? So let's see, I think I got at least 1 row done on my Saturday Shrug as we sat and chatted together. What else would you like for me to sit and chat about? Leave me a message here on YouTube, send it on Ravelry, put it in the show notes thread. Any other questions you have? Someone did ask a really good question about easy colorwork sweaters. A couple of episodes ago, I wore my Novelli tee by Caitlin Hunter, And forgive me, I can't think of the person who asked the question, but I'm working on a video that talks about that very thing. Some really easy beginner colorwork sweater patterns. So stay tuned for that. So I do think that's all I have to talk about today. I could sit and knit with you guys forever. I am thinking about some ways in which maybe we can do that through Zoom. There's this thing called Discord. I have no idea what it's all about, so I'm researching that. And other things, other ways where I can get to connect with you guys a little bit more on a more personal level. So stay tuned for that. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really enjoyed being here with you. And like I said, today is March the 17th. If all goes well, you'll see this video on March 17th. If I have issues with editing, you'll see it tomorrow, Saturday, March 18th. But in any event, I hope to be back in another 2 weeks with updates on all the things I'm working on, all the things I'm making. And I hope that you too will continue making and find so much joy in doing so. So again, I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Stay well and safe and happy making. Bye-bye.